Hello, my name is Stephen Yo. I'm here will give my opinion about this three video where I found from YouTube. The first video is 8 secrets to learn English fast. And the second is 5 things to practice every day to improve your English communication skill. And the last one is 8 study tips proven by science. These three video I get from YouTube. I have summarized them into some tips that must be followed in order to learn English well. First tips, set your targets and have a clear goals. In my opinion, from the three video, I think we really have to set a target for ourselves in learning English. By setting target to help us learn English, also helping organizations learning an efficient and organized manner. Setting target must be also be according to our ability. As a simple example, every day I have to spend at least 1 hour to learn English, or this week I have to learn English at least 10 hours. And in a month, I have to master a lot of words. Like the owner of the video, she said the intelligently she decided to learn English, so she looked for a suitable learn method every night until she always read and write English. The target he usually set are today I have to able to know more vocabulary and I have a better of reading. From here, in my opinion, the most important thing at the beginning is the intention to learn. That way, it can give intention in learning so that makes learning easier. By the way, this is a great way to implement set a clear goals, then set a lot of target to achieve. I have tried it. It is easier to implement if I only have a one lesson to learn. Cause I have a lot of lesson, so it is a bit difficult to study regularly. Because if I have to share a lot of time at target lesson for each lesson. The second tips, don't read in English at first because you don't know the right pronunciation. For example, and in your pants mean nervous. La la land mean accidentally place, and this is what often used, but at first I found a bit confusing, namely the T mean draw, this is your style. At first I read the T because it I didn't know this was a amplification from it is funny when I know I read the article and come across a lot of new word, and it was quite difficult to pronounce them, so I looked up my online dictionary from the island that sometimes pronunciation is different from the writing, and even a word can have multiple meaning depending on the context. This is surprised me a bit, uh, but knowing how to use it and be able to pronunciation is correctly is great because it can make communication with foreigners easier. It was a little funny back then when I once communication with foreigners and we were both now very good at English. We chatted but didn't understand each another what we want to write about. But I learned from the mistake and understand more about usage. And I also had an experience when I playing games with foreigners. Sometimes it's very difficult to understand what foreigners on the same team as me say in the game. Some they use heavy and short language, so I need dictionary to look up the meaning, and it is a little embarrassing. And the third tips, we can learn English with a Google Translate. So we can know what all the vocabulary we want to know. That way, I can make it easier for us to learn English. For example, we don't know the English word for makan. So we can search for it on Google Translate and it will give the translation of makan is eat. That is a simple to learn English. The fourth tips, do not translate word to word. In its intent somewhat different from the third tips. Sometimes in one of or several texts there are words we don't understand. Sometimes the word don't need to be a translate as long we know discussion of the sentence. Then the word we saw earlier doesn't need to be translated. By understanding the context or idea of the word we that was ambiguous. Before we can indirectly understand it in a sentence, even though we don't know the meaning of the word. But if there are some times where you really don't know the word meaning, such not knowing the meaning of one or several paragraphs in the text, then just translate everything. No need word for word because, as said earlier, there is the possibility of ambiguity because there are also words that are connected with another word, meaning that word that must be translated in pair when spelled will produce a different meaning. They are also sentences that have a directly meaning similar to an idiom, and if translated will have the opposite meaning. 5 tips. Practice make you perfect at English. With a lot of practice, you will be good at speaking English. You can also study with practice question. If you confused, you have to look practice question where you can look from internet because there are a lot of questions on the internet that you can do are usually a complement by answer key. So you can find out if your answer is true or false. In practice, there is no problem if you use a little time, 15 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day and 1 hour a day. At least you do it every day and with attention. As I said before, even if you want to be able to, but there is attention to develop them, the process of improving your ability will be very difficult and long. If you are not sure about this suggestion, You can see it from around you, even yourself. You were born unable to speak before long. You often listen to your parents talk. Without realizing it, you started to spin out words even though they were true. As you get older, you often say sentence until you start to get used to making your own sentence and understanding many words. Until now, you are already improving in the language you recognize. If I really believe in this last step, for example, I really like to draw. At first, I could only draw eyes, so I didn't it even day. Until 2 weeks later, I could draw face and hair in my still good work. Right. And 2 months later, I can draw hand and body. Up to a year, I can draw a full body from head to toe. And 2 years, I continue to draw. My drawing are now neater than before. Better before. From here, I always believe that continuous practice will make you improve your ability. Always thought there might be time when you practice every day, but you think improve very little. If you not at all, you'll be in that condition. But I always think like to deal with those negative, to try compare myself now with before, then you will see the difference. You cannot compare in the near future just for a week or two. Another than that effort will not betray your while doing it in earnest. Even if you doesn't see your progress is actually a very small amount, but it will be a huge improvement if you do it every day. That's good tips, I think, to study every day is good. And the sixth tips, take online class. The method is to take online class. You can also do direct class without using a network. With an English class, we can have someone we can ask and give us a lot of knowledge in learning English. According to him, having online class is very effective in accelerating our learning. Not to mention there will be question to be given correctly to the use sentence and word, and there are reference or people who will help us with pronunciation in online class. We definitely also use English in communication to get used to it. I think it's true that online class are very helpful, starting from having people who will teach us correctly our mistake in using English and the many questions we will work on improving skills. But this also depends on the person. Not everyone has a lot of time and money to be able to take online class or classes. Without a network like it or not, the person has to learn independent. In my opinion, without online class we can learn easier by making friends with foreign people, because like it or not, you have to use English to be able to communication with them, and they can help you communication English at really perfect or true. In communication, there are also those who can chat or telephone calling using application, and it will be easier if you have foreign friend in your acknowledgement. I think there are lots of websites on internet we can use to deepen our English without having to spend more time and money to take online class English, because usually as the web the provide feature for free because their income is from advertising we see, such as the first there is the web, which provide many type or question that provide answer and explanation for this answer. The second, there is also a web that give us knowledge about the use of word, their meaning and their type, such as a verb, synonym and antonym. The third, there is also a web that helps us to pronounce English sentence. For example, on the web is give us text and we have to read it correctly. And otherwise, the web will give us the correct pronunciation and tell us to repeat it until we can pronounce it correctly. The fourth is there is also a website that help us find foreign friends who can share knowledge about English, either as conversion parents, plain mature, or just actual tense. Actually, on the several YouTube channel, there are those the provide free Zoom or Discord to learn English with a professor of English teacher, but that is only given to limited selection subscriber. For example, for simple one, we can actually ask our schoolmates who are more provincial to teach us in English, or invite him as a friend who communication in English to get us to using English. The seven tips, forget about perfect grammar. She said, "What? Whenever you try to be a perfect at everything in a language, it just slow you down because in your brain you are thinking, I need to pronounce this first right, and making sure your sound perfect. It just put a strain on your brain. Not to mention you to have think in construction sentence form your ideas. Then have to think sound perfect when reading it using past perfect, continuous future, and another. It too much and complicated. Try to keep it simple even if it doesn't sound perfect, and it is okay to make a mistake. I think it is true. Someone said to me, the enjoyment of language is much more important than right accuracy. In making sentence, we always think about what ideas we want to convey, what sentence and what are suitable to be used so that listener understand, then composite sentence so that they sound perfect to earns or of listener. It make our brain work more hard because we want to make the sentence we make to sound perfect so that when there is the slightest mistake we will keep it thinking until the sentence can be perfect. In communication, I always think the important thing is what we convey is clear and by using the right words. There is not need for a perfect sentence structure sometimes because aiming for sentence perfection actually make the sentence strange. While what is conveyed is clear and the word is he said not confusedly, in the end, it's the same if we want the sentence we make to be a simple or perfect if we have the same idea. Sometimes when foreigners talk to me about a game, the sentence they are use are so simple and not use the perfect grammar. They don't really think about perfect grammar, it writing, but I still understand what it means. I don't know because I am a ordinary person, so they don't use perfect grammar because sometimes in communication with company or important people, we use language that is more important at near. 8 tips, listen to everything. Like listen to people tell story about a book or video on YouTube. That way you can hone your listening and speaking skill directly. I agree with these tips. I once asked an academy supervisor how to learn or improve good English skill. He replied, try using a application that help in learning English or taking online English class. But you can also watch a movie without subtitle and listen for a few minutes, then write down what you hear on paper. When the film is over, try to see what you write is appropriate or not with the conversation in the film. It's true that instantly of having a hard time finding conversation on YouTube or internet, we can listen to movie without using subtitle because watching movie while studying also make us enjoy and in the end give us the intuition to learn more that expanded. At first I tried this method. It was quite difficult because I didn't know the vocabulary and know to mention the different ways of speaking because different country have slight different in the way are pronunciation. When I tried many words, I mistranslate. I try the easier one, namely listening to English song that I have never heard of. I listen to it, then I write the lyric on paper. After that, I compare them with the original lyric I think this is quite helpful because songs have a shorter duration than movie for people who may not have much time. I also think before doing it, seven suggestion, it is better to use the previous one. The reason it's because if you listen at least you have to recognize many type of English word. Even if you can listen well but you don't know what word are spoken, it will make learning difficult without the method. Therefore, we must use the prevision step first until we are sure that we are using the egg method. Sometimes in English there are words that sound the same but are quite different. For example, desert and desert. Desert which mean alerts are surrounded only by stand, while dessert is a dish that is eaten as the least dish. And another example, such as loose and loose. Loose, which mean to divide, and loose means sometimes that is too big or can be interpreted as free. From the example I give, it look like it not the pronunciation, it almost the same but has a different meaning because it is also understanding of a lot of vocabulary that is needed. And the last tips, write a daily journal with a different. In my opinion, by spending a lot of time writing our diary, that way that's what will already unite in your mind. And you can also do it before going to bed so that in include that this word have stuck in your mind and even memorization of your head. In that way, indirectly, we have improved our English. A simple example we can see from the habits of children in America. Almost all of them must have a diary book. Why? Of course, they write their daily life there or their story about uh, that they have uh, they doing at the day, and indirectly they also learn a lot of work in a day. Okay, that's my opinion from that three video. Thank you for watching.